December 13, 1937. The city of Nanjing falls to the Imperial Japanese Army. What follows over the next 6 weeks is one of the darkest chapters in human history, a systematic campaign of violence so extreme that even Nazi officials in the city were horrified. This is not a story with heroes, but it is one we must remember, because forgetting atrocities ensures they can happen again. By 1937, Japan had been expanding aggressively across Asia for years. Their military doctrine emphasized absolute obedience, national supremacy, and a warrior code that viewed surrender as the ultimate dishonor. When Japanese forces advanced on Nanjing, then the capital of the Republic of China, the city's defenses collapsed quickly. Chinese forces either retreated or surrendered, but the Imperial Japanese Army had been indoctrinated to view surrender as weakness, to view the Chinese as subhuman, and so when Chinese soldiers laid down their weapons expecting to be treated as prisoners of war under international law, they were met with systematic extermination instead. What happened in Nanjing was not spontaneous violence. It was organized brutality carried out over 6 weeks. The numbers are staggering. Historians estimate between 200,000 to 300,000 civilians and disarmed soldiers were killed. Approximately 20,000 to 80,000 women and girls were subjected to sexual violence. 1/3 of the city was burned to the ground. The methods were deliberately cruel. Mass executions were conducted along the Yangtze River. Burial competitions were held. Civilians were used for bayonet practice. The violence wasn't hidden. Japanese soldiers photographed their actions, sending images home as trophies. The international response at the time. A small group of Westerners, businessmen, missionaries, and diplomats established a safety zone that saved approximately 200,000 civilians. Among them was John Rabe, a German businessman and Nazi Party member who documented the atrocities and used his status to protect Chinese civilians. But no military intervention came. The world watched but did not act. Understanding how this happened requires examining 3 factors. 1. Military indoctrination. Japanese soldiers were taught that the Chinese were racially inferior, that surrender was shameful, that absolute obedience to orders was paramount. Many soldiers later testified they were following orders, or that refusing would have meant their own death. 2. Dehumanization. Propaganda had portrayed the Chinese as less than human for years. This made atrocities psychologically easier to commit. 3. Command structure failure. Officers not only failed to stop the violence, many encouraged it. Some historians argue it was deliberately allowed as a terror tactic. The breakdown of military discipline, combined with rage over Chinese resistance and casualties, created conditions where atrocity became normalized. This wasn't uniquely Japanese evil. This is what happens when any society dehumanizes another group, demands absolute obedience, removes accountability for violence, creates conditions where cruelty is rewarded. The massacre ended not because of intervention or conscience. It ended because the army moved on. After the war, the International Military Tribunal for the Far East, Tokyo trials, prosecuted Japanese leaders. General Iwane Matsui, commander of forces in Nanjing, was found guilty and executed in 1948. Survivors testified. Evidence was presented. The world officially acknowledged what had happened. But justice was incomplete. Many perpetrators were never prosecuted. Some went on to prominent positions in post-war Japan, and for decades, the massacre became a source of political tension between China and Japan, with disputes over the exact death toll, whether apologies were sufficient, how it's taught in schools, whether memorials properly honor victims. The Nanjing Massacre matters for several reasons. 1. Historical truth. Denying or minimizing atrocities dishonors victims and distorts history. The evidence is overwhelming. Photographs, diaries, survivor testimony, international witness accounts, and Japanese military records. 2. Understanding human capacity for evil. This wasn't committed by monsters. It was committed by ordinary people placed in extraordinary circumstances with the wrong ideology. 3. Warning signs. The conditions that enabled Nanjing dehumanization, militarism, unchecked power, nationalist fervor can appear in any society. 4. Honoring survivors. Many survivors spent their lives ensuring the world would remember. Their testimony is a gift and a warning. Today, the Nanjing Massacre Memorial Hall stands in China, visited by millions each year. In Japan, the event remains controversial. Some acknowledge it fully, others minimize it. A few deny it entirely. But historical truth isn't a matter of opinion. What happened in Nanjing was real. It was documented, it was witnessed, and it must be remembered, not to foster hatred between nations, but to ensure we recognize the warning signs of dehumanization before atrocity becomes possible again. The victims of Nanjing deserve to be remembered not as statistics, but as individuals whose lives mattered and whose deaths must mean something.